Hey guys, in this video I'm going to go over how to run Captcha Breaker and get it integrated with your software. After you install Captcha Breaker, the first thing you want to do is right click on the icon, and anytime you run it as administrator. You can also go down to properties and click the compatibility tab and check off run this program as administrator, and then hit apply and OK. And anytime you open it, it's always going to be run as administrator, and you don't have to right click and select that every time. Some computers you don't have to even run it as admin. It's just if it's not working for you, if it's not connecting to your software, try and running it as administrator, and usually that'll do the trick. So to start off, I will show you how to run this with Search Engine Ranker, since it's the easiest. The first thing you want to do is go to the options and then click the Captcha button, and then all you need to do is check off right here and select Captcha Breaker, and that's all you need to do in Search Engine Ranker. I'll quickly go over these options here. If you click the options, run as web server, I'll go over this in a minute. This option down here allows you to send the failed captchas, the captchas that aren't recognized by Captcha Breaker. It'll send them off to a third-party captcha service so they can solve them. Down here you have only try to solve if the success rate is whatever you put in here. So if you don't want it to waste time solving reCAPTCHAs, since reCAPTCHA is only 1%, you can see the percentages here. You can put that here. You might want to put don't solve if it's only try to solve if the success rate is 10%, and it's going to skip all those other ones. Then over here you have a slider to adjust the speed and accuracy. Obviously accuracy is probably where you're going to want to leave it, because it's pretty fast even all the way on the accuracy side. So if you leave it there, you're going to have a lot better success rate. And then below that you have the option here that is required for certain software. If you're using this, if you click this little question mark right here, it'll pop up a box and it tells you check this option if you use tools like the following: SIG Submitter, Magic Submitter, SE Nuke. Some of these software will convert the captchas to JPEG before sending them to the software, and Captcha Breaker uses the image type for detection to detect what kind of captcha it is. So if the software does that, you need to make sure and check this button. So if you're using SE Nuke, you would want to check this in order for it to work properly. Also, once you have it connected to SE Nuke or SIG Submitter or anything like that, you can click the detect button and it will detect that for you. Then below that you can have it try to solve unknown captchas. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then down here you can save your captchas, recognized captchas or unsolved captchas, to a folder in case you want to open those later in the SDK and try to increase the solve rate of a certain platform or captcha type. You can do that. Okay, well, unfortunately I don't have any other software installed on this computer like Ultimate Daemon or SE Nuke, anything like that, so I can't show you exactly how to do it, but it's pretty easy. If you go into any of your software, SEO software, usually they were going to have an area where you can set up your captcha providers, and if you go there you could, for example, set up Death by Captcha in that other software, and then in Captcha Breaker you would just select run as web server and simulate the following services, and then Death by Captcha in here. And that way anytime that other software sends a captcha to what it thinks would be Death by Captcha, this software is simulating that service, so it kind of like intercepts that captcha. And that's basically how you do it. If the software you're working with already has a Captcha Breaker option integrated into it, then you would select that option. I believe with SE Nuke they don't have Captcha Breaker integrated yet, so you would I believe select Captcha Sniper, and I think that will work the same it'll still work with Captcha Breaker. And if you're using Ultimate Daemon, you would select Bypass Captcha, and then in this you would select Bypass Captcha here. And in the login fields, or anything, if you have a login and password that's required for your Captcha service, you could just put any random numbers and letters, it doesn't matter. So that's all you really need to do to get a software running with Captcha Breaker. You can also check this option here if you want, if you're using Ultimate Daemon and you want all the failed captchas or unrecognized captchas to be sent to a third-party service, you can set that up here. Another thing I would recommend is, if you're using a software that's going to be hitting a lot of higher authority sites like Web 2.0s, a lot of those will use reCAPTCHA, and the solve rate for reCAPTCHA isn't that great here. So, well, here, let me show you. If you right click here, search by name and type in reCAPTCHA, it'll find that, and you can see here it says 1%. So there's no point in having this software fail the submissions, because it can't really solve the reCAPTCHAs very well. So what you can do is right click here and click and choose toggle use of CAPTCHA service, and an option will pop up and say, once the selected CAPTCHA type is detected, it will always be sent to the CAPTCHA service instead of trying to solve it. So that way, anytime your third party or your other software, if a reCAPTCHA pops up, it's going to be automatically sent to the service instead of this trying to solve it and possibly failing the submission. That's something you could do for Malam CAPTCHAs. These, I know if you're submitting to Drupal, they use a lot of these types of CAPTCHAs. You could do it for that too. Anything where the submission or the solve rate is pretty low, you can do that if you don't want to waste having failed submissions. The other option here is, if you check this send only mark types, then it's only going to send the CAPTCHAs that you check off here. Normally, if you have this unchecked and you have these, if you're toggling the use of CAPTCHA services, it's going to send these automatically to the CAPTCHA service that you have set up here, but it's also going to send other CAPTCHAs that it doesn't recognize. It's also going to send those too. If you only want it to send a certain type of CAPTCHA and ignore all the other CAPTCHAs, then you would check this off here and you select the CAPTCHAs that you want the software to send. So really, that's all you need to do to get everything running. I'll go ahead and start this so you can just see what it looks like. Once CAPTCHAs start getting sent over to the software, you'll see them appear here in the logs. So once you start seeing CAPTCHAs appear here, you know that it is now working. And there you go. So all you need to do is test it with your software. When the CAPTCHAs start to appear in the logs, you know that it's working. There's nothing else you need to do. You can just sit and let the software run. And in this video, I'm not going to go into the SDK, but if you're interested in learning how to work the SDK and improve CAPTCHA types or teach it your own CAPTCHAs, you can go to the help menu here and then go to the forum, and at the top of the forum there's sticky posts that show how to get started in the SDK. And that's it.